time. Full time. Doing gang things. Living super clean. That done came up. Can't control us. One time for the men doing cane. Red to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times for the men. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. Look at you, you done came up now. Get it how you live, mess the game up now. Ain't messing with yoga, but get the flame up. Hey, used to be Toby, but got your name. I see ya. Paid on pressure. 25 lighters got them all on the dang for you, ain't for you then. If you a lame or suck on the dress you then. Grown up now. Shot his ways. Got a wife and a bunch of kids to raise. Punch a clock side hustle or a business you endure to ensure that all the bills is paid. Slow clap for your homeboy. Could have turned out like your homeboy. Being on the same block, cooking up the same rock on the cell block lot with your homeboy. But no, you had vision, you had gold. Brand new you on the old time. Knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the folk that moved up.
1, 2,
even
mic
if you
check,
had the
1,
slow
2.
start screwed up. Used to gang bang, now homie brewed up. Had a little plan, I had to
Down,
blew up. Look at you like a man right now. Dressed to the T, smelling like a grand right now. And you ain't got nothing from a handout now. Just faith and hard work gets it planned out now. You could have took a bunch of dusty rolls. The hand dealt with a bunch of cards to fold. To stay hot while the world is freezing cold. The same plot, but the story's never old. Slow clap for your kinfolk. Could have been asking what your info. Prosecutor could be trying to do you in for the 2020 twins, so you passing out the info. But no, you had purpose, you had plans. I ain't throwing nothing, I'ma say these bands won't impress y'all, don't need no fans. That ain't my God, who is that man? This real man talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom while you peek these grades. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. Yeah, real man. Sheesh. Yeah. Doing cane things.
Mono.
Living super clean. That came up.
1 time for my king doing king things. Mom these hoes cause he know he got a good thing. I submit and I cook and I clean and I never hold back on that wop. I'ma let it rain. Made me honest, I got a ring. All praises to the most high, let it sing. A real man able to never came, and I ain't going nowhere. This is not look at you, girl. You're lonely right now, settling for bums instead of men the most high. He provide and protect, so he get our respect, and he leading us aboard when them chariots fly. I don't really think you hear me though. You can't cross this bridge on some billy goats. Let them save you in the end like a Semino. Be help me, shout let the silly go.
1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord, saints. It's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono. Angelina, shalom, sis. Thank you so much. I know I was supposed to send you a picture. I forgot. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. But thank you everyone for joining me this evening. You could have been anywhere on God's wide internet, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. Speaking of God, I want to thank him for being here, for life, for breath, because we know he is the provider of it all. How y'all doing on this Thursday? There's a lot going on around here. So first and foremost, let me get the preliminary stuff out the way. You are not on the YouTube. Please head over to the YouTube at Monologue Magad, MONOLOGMAGAD. If you are already there, please give us a like, a share, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. I'd like to introduce myself. If you're new here, I am the wife of Mono. Please feel free to give me a follow on your Instagram, your TikTok, your Facebook, all of those good social media apps. I have to. I would be remiss if I did not shout out my husband, the one and only, the illustrious Monologue Magad. Please follow him on all of your social networks and also follow him on your favorite streaming platforms and download the latest music from Just Hold On. And guess what? Yes, he is working on some new stuff, which should be out soon, okay? All right. Also, hey, I'm streaming live on Nasaya TV. The Nasaya TV app, if you don't have it, you can download it on your Roku, your Fire Stick, your Smart TV, your Apple TVs. It's not just my show. It's full of great content for all ages. Me and my kids watch some stuff on there. There's some awesome Bible-based education, a lot of good teaching and classes on there. So please check that out. It's the Nasaya TV app, NASIYA TV. Okay. So let's get to what's going on in Babylon. We got our wickedness of the week and then our main topic. We're going to continue our conversation from last week, but I want to make it a little more serious. We're going to talk about the inside. Do we even like ourselves on the inside? And what are we doing to make ourselves better people? Because it's what's on the inside that counts. What's going on in Babylon? We're going to talk about the Ohio train derailment. There was another one today in Detroit. And we're going to talk about using food as a weapon. And for our wickedness of the week, I'm going to go into something that I feel a little bit personal about, but I want to talk about why we can't seem to get along. Even us women, why we women can't seem to get along. Let me be more specific. Even us women who claim to be in the truth and we claim to be the enlightened ones. What's up with that? All right, so we're going to talk about that later. But the first, what's going on in Babylon? I'm sure you've all heard about the train derailment in the city of East Palestine, Ohio. There was a train derailment that had a various number of hazardous chemicals on it. I don't remember the names of them all. And no, I didn't write it down. Okay. But it's some really bad stuff. And of course, hey, Leah, shalom and shalom. So these chemicals spilled and they did a controlled burn to try to contain the chemicals. This was just this week. And they're telling people that the air is safe to breathe. They're saying that the water is fine. I know if it was me and my family and I lived there and I had the opportunity to leave the area, I would leave the area promptly. You wouldn't have to say anything. But let's talk about the effects that this train derailment has had on food and water. If you did not know, there are 75,000 farms located in the state of Ohio. 75,000 farms, okay? 90% of these farms are ran by families and individuals. All right, so we're not talking about Tyson. We're not talking about these big food conglomerates that can take a hit like that or that have the insurance to cover things like that. We're talking about families here who are now not able to perform their livelihood because of poisoned, contaminated water. Okay. But in terms of food production for the country, Ohio is the first in Swiss cheese. Okay. Who knew Swiss cheese comes from Ohio? All right. They are second in the production of eggs. And y'all know what we've been going through with eggs lately. They are third in the production of tomatoes and pumpkins. I did not know this. Ohio ranks 7th in the production of soybeans and 10th in the production of corn. Now, if you manufacturing, you know how much corn and soybean are used in just about everything, okay? So, of course, you're thinking like, well, what's the big deal? Didn't they clean it up? Yeah, but guess what? That stuff stays in the soil and the water for a long time. It's not like, oh, we could just clean it up, like when you spill oil in your kitchen. It's not like that. You clean it. No, this stuff is seeping into the soil, it's seeping into the roots of what's already there. It's in the water supply, it's in the air. It's everywhere, okay? So being in corn feed from Ohio hogs, even though we don't eat pork, okay? 5 million hogs, 45.5 million chickens and turkeys. 45.5 million chickens and turkeys. Now, I don't know about y'all, but we consume a lot of chicken in our family. Okay. You talk about 1.5 million cows, 9 billion eggs, and those 1.5 million cows produce 30 gallons of milk. So we're talking about a train just being derailed. You have to look more into the, I guess, side effects is what I'm trying to say. If you Google food as a weapon of war, you'll find tons of entries. Food destruction. Now, when I say food destruction, I'm talking about stopping food from being grown and harvested, preventing it from being shipped to where it needs to go, or contaminating it and making it unfit for consumption. Okay. So these are the different types of food destruction that usually take place before a war. Roman armies were known for plowing their newly conquered land with salt. Okay. So they would go in a place, take it over, and to make sure that the people that they conquered were not able to feed themselves again, they plowed salt into their soil, making it infertile. So now they're dependent on the government to feed them. Okay. Dead animals were also dumped into wells to contaminate water supplies. All right. And as recently as the Civil War, now this is not something that, was just no, as recently as the Civil War, there are records of Confederate armies contaminating Union water supply with dead animals. Okay. Now there is another side to this. It's not just always an invading army that does this. No, sometimes the army that is being invaded will take what is called a scorched earth approach. With a scorched earth approach, they're going to destroy everything that could possibly help the invading army coming in. Okay. So say they were going through like Atlanta. Okay. So you're gonna come from the east, Georgia. I shouldn't say Atlanta. Let's say they're coming through Georgia. Okay. So you're gonna start at the shore. They're gonna destroy all the farmland, all the agriculture, all of everything as they move through the state to prevent the invading army from being able to sustain themselves during said invasion. Okay. However, now that we have modern food storage, feeding the army is not really a problem. Dehydrated food, canned food. I mean, just all different kind of ways to preserve food to make it easier to transport, therefore easier to support the armies. But what about the people? If you scorch the earth, not only are you causing a problem for the invading army, you're causing a problem for your own citizens. Okay, if you happen to Google Ohio River Basin, you will see just how many states that this water that is contaminated actually feeds. You're talking about Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Illinois, section of the midsection of the country gets their water from this water now contaminated. Okay, so they're telling everybody, oh, just get bottled water. I can't help but notice the fact that there's no answer for poor people. Okay. Great. You can feed the army. That's fabulous. But what about the people still at home? These are the after effects of war that the government may not be too concerned about, but we as people have to be concerned about because they're going to be too busy fighting to worry about us. Shalom, champs. Thank you for joining me. And I don't know if you guys have been listening. They don't care. They absolutely do not care. I was watching Fox News this morning, and I'm gonna tell y'all why I watch Fox News, okay? Because there is a Democrat in office. And we already know, like, CNN is gonna come from the blue angle, Fox News is gonna come from the red angle. I already pretty much know what the blue angle's talking points are, so I like to listen to a different or the opposing viewpoint to understand what they are thinking, okay? So I watched Fox News today, and they actually had like a town hall meeting with the citizens of East Palestine. But Norfolk Southern, who owns the train that was derailed, they did not bother to show up. They said they were in fear of their physical safety, so they did not even represent themselves at this meeting. Guess who else wasn't there? Your boy Joe Beasy. He didn't even bother to show up. They had the mayor, Nazar, shalom and shalom. Thank you for joining me. I think they had like the mayor. I don't even think the governor was there. I know their congressman, Pete Buttigieg, he didn't show up either. So these people are basically there. These people are basically there voicing their concerns to people who can't help them. And I hate to say it, but at this point, it's kind of like the government has these people chasing their tails. And, of course, they're telling them, like, oh, the air is safe and the water will be fine. But how many of us have seen these things play out and these people wind up being sick later on, or their children come up with all these developmental delays? They already have animals dying. They're already complaining about the elderly people being ill and not knowing what's going on. So, listen, this happened in Ohio. There was just another one in Detroit. I want us to pay attention to this because a few things. Of course, World War III is popping off. But also, I don't remember how many of you are old enough to remember the NAFTA, they were trying to make it a thing. The North American Free Trade Association. What they wanted to do was they wanted to run truck lines from Canada to South America. Okay. And a lot of people were putting up a fuss about that. But let's ask ourselves a question. If you just go back and Google it, they wanted to build those truck lines through the Midwest. They wanted to come down through Detroit and Ohio and Chicago. And there was a big fuss about that. So I'm not saying that this doesn't have something to do with that as well. Like, we don't know what these demons got up their sleeve for real. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Please, if if you're curious, if you want to know more about it, just Google food as a weapon of war, and you will be inundated with information about that. Y'all, please excuse my husband. He is flirting with me. I love you too, sweetie. Okay, let's move on to our wickedness of the week. And sir, I'm not ignoring you, boo. Anyway, let's get to our wickedness of the week, okay? And I was struggling about. He making me blush. I was struggling about talking to y'all about this, but I really feel like it's something we need to address, and it will also carry over into our main topic, okay? Why do we as Black women, not just as Black women, as Black women who claim to be Bible believers, because this is not just for my sisters in the truth, this is for any of my sisters who claim to be Bible believers, because we're supposed to be held to a certain standard. Okay. So I just don't understand why issues that don't pertain to salvation continue to separate us. Well, what do you mean? I see a lot of disagreements among women about petty stuff. It's really petty. What got to me today was this post. It was long. This long rant about hair, makeup, and nails, and how if you know, women who need to do that, whatever. It was just rather disparaging remarks about that. Now in my understanding from growing up in church, um, has always been the person's soul is what matters the most, okay? What your objective is to win this soul to Christ. That's your objective, okay? You should be able to put aside your discrepancies again as long as it doesn't pertain to salvation, okay? And hear what I'm saying. I feel like we use the nuances of modesty to isolate each ourselves from each other. Um okay, because I want to make sure I cover everything, and I also want to make sure I'm not, I'm not excusing immodest behavior. We should not see your breasts. We should not see your butt. We shouldn't see your stomach. I shouldn't see your thighs. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, even if we see a sister in that condition, I hate when we will tear a woman apart when they are at least putting forth an effort. Now, hear what I'm saying. I'm not talking about twerking. No, there's no excuse. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about blatantly showing your body. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Brianne says, Shalom and Shalom. Thank you for joining me, sis. Like, share, subscribe. If you just got here, you might see the live chat. Hit the X. There's a thumb up right under that. Go ahead and click on that like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Okay, where was we? Okay. Right. So I feel like, in my opinion, we use the nuances of modesty and the fact that maybe there's not something totally written in concrete for us to go to. We use this to degrade other sisters and to degrade their efforts, because I feel like, unfortunately, we like to be the one, okay? We like to be the one, we like to be the only perfect one. And if the rest of you sisters ain't looking like me, and if y'all not doing what I think y'all should do, then y'all are in sin. Ma'am, sis, cousin, that is totally wrong. Now, if the sister is out here breaking the law blatantly, being rebellious and being disobedient, by all means, yes, she should be corrected. But I'm going to say that y'all don't come in the right spirit to correct anyone. And what you do is wind up turning people away from the Bible, away from the truth, gospel, and away from Christ. This is what you do when you choose to ridicule people for issues that are of no salvific importance. Now, ma'am, sis, cousin, if you see sis out here and she wilding out and you know she got a husband at home, by all means, grab her, hey, baby, what's going on with you? Okay, but if you mad because sis husband let her wear her hair out, or sis wear makeup, or sis got on nails, then ma'am, that's a personal issue that I feel like you maybe need to deal with. And let me say this. Before y'all start talking about my husband said, ma'am, sis, cousin, it is your duty and obligation to serve and follow your husband with joy. This is why I tell y'all to make sure you understand what your husband believes before you get married, because once you marry him, there is no excuse. There is no excuse. You should have had this conversation before you got married. Okay, and listen, I understand there are changes that come, viewpoints may change. This is why I tell y'all it is so important to be led when you are deciding on a husband. That's not an excuse. If you know that you was wearing makeup and you was getting your hair straight before you got married, why would you a man who you know is against makeup and hair straightening? He said he want his woman nappy and barefaced as when she wakes up. He's never going to change. All you're going to do is set yourself up for disappointment, depression, and anger because you're going to try to make yourself into something that you're not. For the rest of your life, we're not talking about fronting for a couple of months. No, self up to front for the rest of your life. And then instead of accepting the responsibility and accountability for the decisions you made, you want to take it out on other sisters. And that's not what's up. You're literally turning people away from Christ with your nasty attitude. And I, for one, am tired of it. It's ridiculous. The first thing that a lot of women talk about when they meet is the fact that you can't have no women friends. It's hard enough friends as a Black woman, period. You would think it would be easier in the church and or when you come into the truth, but it almost seems like it's harder. And I'm gonna say that because at least in the streets, I knew who I was dealing with. She a hoe. She gonna let me know she a hoe. Okay, cool. You a hoe? All right, cool. I'm cool with that. I ain't gonna have you around my man, but at least I know what's up. If she still, you know, she a booster. She goes, okay, well, you ain't gonna be in my house by yourself. But at least I know what I'm dealing with. But y'all get in the church, y'all come in the truth, and you want to cover your head and take off all your makeup and act like that makes you holy when you still a whole devil on the inside. You still a whole devil on the inside. Now you just a devil without makeup on. That's it. I don't understand this need to talk down on other women for making choices that may be different than yours, but are not unlawful and are not sinful. Thank you, Brianna. I'm just trying. Oh no. Okay. Well, yeah. Let me know, Leah. and I even in the church. Okay. Let's because this covers a whole spectrum of Black women. It's not just one group. We all do it to each other. Okay. But let's start at the church. All right. Even in the church with the hierarchy of the church, there's a hierarchy. Okay. A social hierarchy. I'm not talking about a ministerial hierarchy. Of course, you have your leaders, your elders, but I mean a social hierarchy. Like you have to look like this. You have to be driving this. You have to have went to this college. You have to live here in order to be in the inner circle of church. Okay, church. And so here's the thing, right? Because you figure once you come to the truth, or at least I did, right? Once I come into the truth, I'm not gonna have to deal with this. These women are Bible believing, they submit to their husbands. They're just not like that. But lo and behold, it's everywhere. Unfortunately, it's everywhere. And do we not understand that we have blood on our hands for the people that we offend? Do you not see? And it's like, sometimes I have to check with the Lord before I say certain things. And I'm not saying everything I say is of the Lord. No. But sometimes some things I have to be like, Lord, am I supposed to? But I'm going to say it. Especially y'all who like to position yourselves as leaders. Especially y'all. You should especially be ashamed. You want to call yourself an elder, an aged woman whose responsibility it is to lead the younger women and the children, but nobody can even stand you because you got a problem with everything. With everything somebody does. sister is putting forth her best effort. She done put the crop tops away, and at least she wearing a whole shirt now and jeans, and you still got a problem with that. And here's the kicker: the problem that you have is not found in the scripture. That's my issue. You're arguing over your opinion, the point that you drive others away from the faith. I don't understand how y'all do this. And then on top of that, hide it under the guise of ministry and say, oh, I'm trying to teach my sisters how to be more modest, or that's not how you reach someone. You've never, okay. See, this comment right here. This happened to me when I really turned me off in a way, but I persevere. All praise to the Most High for you persevering. And I believe you. Okay. I believe you. And I want to apologize for that you even had to go through that. It's really sad. It's really sad. It happens to me in a Christian church. It's sad. We have to do better. And everybody wants to talk about how far we advance and how far we come, but we still can't figure out how to tolerate each other. We still can't figure out how to get along just for the sake of getting along. And listen, I'm not saying that I'm super Christian, super friendly, always on point. No, I'm a woman and I'm in Perry. Okay. So guess what? Some days I smiley face, but I try my best out of my need. It's a need for me to please the Most High and my husband. I try my best to put on my social face. I'm understanding that I haven't always had it together, and somebody had to put their feelings to the side to pray for me, to talk to me, to deal with me. I ain't even got to go that far. Hell, my husband puts his feelings to the side a lot of times to deal with me, to talk to me. So who am I to begrudge someone else that opportunity? I feel we all have to start somewhere, especially coming from a life of sin. It's a process that does not happen. The other thing, a lot of yes, I came from the church. A lot of these people are not. They coming in straight off the street. A lot of them are coming straight out the strip club. But unfortunately, and I want to say it's because maybe we haven't had a lot of those experiences, or maybe we haven't had people in our lives who have been affected like this. So it's very hard to see the humanity in people's situations when you have not been there yourself. I talked to y'all plenty of times. I used to be a stripper. So I can see the humanity in someone who's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I need a way out, but I get it because I've been there. Okay. But even with that, I think it's really sad that you can't even try to empathize, knowing that at one time you've been stuck in sin. One time you were walking in rebellion. Okay, you've been in church all my life. That's a lie. And you and the Lord know it. You and the Lord know that's a lie. We have to stop using the Bible to beat up on people. I'm gonna say that. Cause y'all evil out here. Y'all evil, and you would have think, as much junk as we talk about the women who came before us in the church and how they were so hypocritical and so evil, you would think that we would learn a lesson, but we have not. And y'all even getting worse. Even getting worse. Okay, I'm sorry, Angelina. I skipped your comment. I didn't mean to. Unless you try to question their ridicule, they label you as having a rebellious spirit. It's like nobody remembers. It's like nobody remembers the struggle. I went to a pastor. I was struggling with something. I went to a pastor and I said, okay, I'm gonna start fasting to try to put this thing out. No, you shouldn't have to fast. You should just do it right now. How you gonna tell me? How you gonna tell me what I'm going through? Listen, just because you cleaned yourself up, okay? Just because you've changed your outer appearance does not give you the right. Okay, it's the pride and haughtiness that gives them amnesia. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. And again, listen, I'm not saying that sometimes it's not hard to do that, to have empathy for others. Sometimes you see people in situations and you just be like, dang, girl, you need help. Girl, what was you thinking? What is you doing? Now that's just dumb. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I've been on both sides. I've been the person doing the dumb thing, and I've also been the person looking at the other person doing the dumb thing, like, oh, that's just dumb. So I get it, but even with that, and keep that to yourself and be what the Lord needs you to be to this person at this time, to not just help them fulfill their destiny, but to fulfill yours. And also, let me remind y'all, I was listening to an interview, I think it was with Jack A and somebody, and she was talking about when she was on 227 and Kenya Barris was bringing her scripts and her water, and she was just really nasty to him. And then she saw him later after he had made it. And he was like, don't you remember you used to be really mean to me, da 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 da. And she said, she was like, no, because she was so embarrassed. But now let me remind y'all, the same people that you step in as they are coming into this journey, you never know what the Lord has for them, where they're going to end up when you may need them. Okay. And they're not going to be just as nasty to you. They're not, because they've matured and they've evolved, but you will be feeling like crap within yourself. And that's something that you're going to have to deal with. So I just wanted to leave that with y'all for the wickedness of the week. Okay, it is not worth offending your sister. Now, let's get into our main topic. ATL 1482. You never know when someone is going to surpass you. Exactly. You never know who you're talking to, who you're looking at, who you're dealing with. This person could have the answer to all of your problems locked up inside of them, but you want to treat them like crap because they don't look the way that you think they should look. I'm going to tell y'all what some of y'all do. Judging each other off of Sabbaths, when we keep the New Year, when we do Passover. That's dumb. And that behavior is unlawful. Be not righteous over much, neither make yourself over wise. Why shouldst thou destroy that? Perfect scripture. Okay, so let's get into our main topic. Last week we talked about, do you even like yourself? And I think last week we just kind of covered a lot of like the outside things that we deal with. But today I want to talk about some of the inner things, and I want to kind of bring it home and make it a little more serious for us because of what is going on in the world around us, the times that we're living in. And I don't like to go here too much because it is a very since we are rehearsing the righteous acts, and we will all get it together when the Most High puts us on one accord. All praises to the Most High, and I cannot wait for that. I don't really like to go here into too much in time, sign of the times kind of messages, because it can be very frustrating. Because on the one hand, it's like, Yahushua is returning soon, Jesus is coming soon, we got to have ourselves together. And then on the other hand, it's like, when is he coming? Nobody knows. All right. So we are, and I guess we've always should have been, but even more now, we are, my husband says, where you have to live like he's coming tomorrow, but also like you don't know when he's gonna come. Okay. So we're talking about just wisdom and earthly things, as well as spiritual matters. Okay. But I want to talk about, do you like what's going on the inside of you? And I don't like to use terms like spirituality, because it can get nuanced into the new age movement, and that's not what we're talking about here at all. Okay, so if you hear me referencing spirituality, I'm speaking of your relationship with the Most High. I'm speaking of your prayer life. I'm speaking of your worship life. And I know a lot of people don't even okay. Um But first and foremost, and I've said it before, but let me reiterate it again. If you're not right with your creator, my love, you can't be right with yourself. If you are not, if you are not walking in, operating in, um and living in the thing that you were designed to do, you are abusing yourself. If you look up the definition of abuse, it is using an object in a manner other than what it's for. Okay, when you sit on a chair, I'm sorry, when you stand on a chair to use it as a ladder, you're abusing that chair. Why? Because the chair is for you to sit on. That's what it was made for. There are ladders for you to stand on. Now, if you were to go to get that ladder and sit on that ladder and try to eat breakfast, now you're abusing the law. Okay, I'm just using these simple points to get us to understand that whenever you are not using something for what it is meant for, that is abuse. Thank you, Leah. Abuse. Thank you very much. Okay, that's the definition of abuse. And unfortunately, a lot of us are abusing ourselves. Okay, what do you mean? How do I abuse myself? When you are walking in rebellion against what the Most High has in store for you, has put in front of you, the life that He told you, okay? Because before you were formed in your mother's womb, He knew you, okay? So the life that He basically told you you were going to live, you for some reason are determined to walk in of that. And I know a lot of times when we talk about women, we just go to sex as a form of rebellion. And yes, it is, but other stuff out here as well. I just tear each other down with our tongues and our gossip. Okay. Um, you got women out here misleading other women on a daily basis. All right. You have your psychics, you have your tarot cards, you have your sex workers, you got your boosters, your drug dealers, your scammers. Women have become so oblivious to our design and our creation and what we are meant to do, that we have convinced ourselves that we can do what men can do. Okay, and I wasn't going to mention this, but since we're talking about it, just want to, I think that Super Bowl performance was horrid. And I think it should have never happened. And I think it just goes to show that no, women cannot do everything that men can do. And also, pregnant women cannot do everything that a non pregnant woman can do or that a man can do. We abuse ourselves when we refuse to stay in the guidelines of womanhood and femininity. And even when the time calls for it, motherhood. Okay. I particularly do not like when you get these celebrities who want to talk about their experience with pregnancy and their experience with motherhood and try to make it sound so relatable, and then try to make those of us who do not have that type of income feel like that we are failing or that we are less than because we can't afford or we don't have access to those same resources. Listen here, ma'am, sis, cousin. I'm blessed to be able to get up and cook 2, 3 meals a day if I need to, but I'm not gonna sit here and shame another woman if she's not able to do the same thing. If anything, I should be trying to offer solutions that are feasible to her situation. Like, "Okay, baby, you might have to cook for 3 days at a time when you do cook. You know what I'm saying? You may have to start cutting that meat in half. There are like I told y'all before, maybe you can't afford to buy the cream. You have to make the cream at home. Go to the grocery store and get what you need. You can't try to live through a life that you aspire to without first becoming content in the life that you are in. Okay. If you are constantly trying to reach for what, if you're constantly trying to reach for what you perceive as a goal, and I don't mean solid goals. I don't mean buying a house. I don't even mean like establishing a career. I don't mean stuff like that. I mean the influencer goals, the things, the items, the stuff that's supposed to make us cool or acceptable or whatever. When you find yourself chasing that, you're not being content with who you are. And I feel like that's a problem with this hustle, 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 go, go, go culture that we live in. It does not prescribe or allow time for an individual to get to know themselves. And as I'm sure you've all heard, nor does it allow time for an individual to get to know God. There's no time for a relationship with God when you prescribe to the schedule of this world. I know you might be thinking like, well, what if you look at, okay, I'll take my own life, for example. Before I was a stay-at-home mom, it was very hard for me to find time for prayer. I'm up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm out the house by 6. I'm working 13, 14 hours a day. And then to come home and have to pick up my kids from school, try to get them ready for school the next day, try to get myself ready for work, feed them some kind of decent meal, get everyone in the bed at a decent time, just to wake up the next day and do it all over again. That leaves there's no time for self-fulfillment. There's no time to find out who I am. What does God have for me? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? Because you're always hustle, 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 go, go, go. It is not until you decide that you're going to ignore all the noise, put aside all the foolishness. And I'm not saying not to have things that you enjoy. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is these things should not define you. These things should not become you. And I had this conversation with someone with, I think it was one of my uncles when I was younger. My aunts, my uncles, my cousins, we were sitting around talking. And I said, I remember, I think we were talking about why I felt the need to get up and take a shower before I go to the store. And I said, I care about the way I look. Like, what's wrong with caring about how I look, right? And so my uncle was like, why do you care about that? That's so shallow and da 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 da. Listen, if you don't need about how you appear on the outside to feel good inside, then that's on you. Okay. But, and this goes back to the conversation we had earlier, if another person, well, I'm talking to my sisters. So if another sister feels that her outer presentation is a more of a priority, you don't need to shame her for that. There is nothing wrong with her making that decision. Again, as long as we are in the confines of the law and our husband's approval, there's no need for that. Some women may need to be fed intellectually in order to feel good about themselves. I love a good documentary. I like to read. If that's what makes me feel complete and whole on the inside, there's no need for anybody to have any what's the word I'm looking for? Problem with that. we like to say that Black people are not a monolith, but when someone acts outside of the lines of what we deem acceptable as a Black person, we like to ridicule and pick them apart and degrade them. And what I would suggest when you get those feelings is that maybe there's something on the inside of you that's lacking and that you need to take care of that. See, what we want, okay, what I want and what I think a lot of other people want in life is upward mobility, right? Nobody wants to grow up in the hood, live in the same hood all their lives. I don't think you do anyway. All right. But there are certain things and teachings and characteristics that we have not had the opportunity to learn as a people who have not been afforded certain opportunities. Like I will tell you this, and I was reading something about it the other day. If you've ever had a conversation with a what you call a higher educated group of people, those conversations go a lot differently, especially in terms of the insults and the passive aggressiveness. Okay, that is a skill that you have to learn how to use your words to insult someone, but being okay with knowing that they don't understand what you said. Because a lot of us, when we get into a heated discussion, we go immediately to the words, right? Like that, okay? And we're just cussing them all out, string of cuss words. And I'm not saying that sometimes that's not appropriate. I'm not saying sometimes it's not appropriate. I'm not saying sometimes it's not effective. But there's a better way to express yourself. Maybe you won't necessarily get your point across to that person, but you inside of yourself have to be okay with that, if that makes sense. Like sometimes I get into discussions with people online, and after maybe times of going back and forth, if I see that this person is not following the conversation, I'm not going to keep arguing. I'm not about to start calling you names. I'm not going to let you take me there. I will just simply say, okay, it looks like maybe you're not ready for this conversation, so I'm going to go. That person doesn't know I just called them stupid. They just think I'm just ignoring them. And I'm saying this to say there are going to be things in life that make us mad. There are going to be things in life that just literally piss us off. But part of working on the inside of you is knowing how to deal with those things with some type of class and some type of grace. Listen, you talking about you want to be married and you want this life and all this other stuff. Guess who's going to piss you off more than anyone? Guess. Take a wild guess. Boaz. Boaz is going to piss you off more than anyone. Why? He's your husband. He's the person you live with 24/7. Exactly. Your spouse. He's the person you're with 24/7. And whether you like it or not, something I've had to learn, your spouse, once you start spending that much time together, they become a mirror of you. Okay. And what I mean is now there's somebody to react off of your emotions, your reflections. I had just got used to being by myself for so long and or not having someone to answer to because your kids, they're not going to question you. But I had gotten used to this that when my husband be talking to me, I'll be making a face. And he'd be like, well, why are you making that face? Da 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 da. And in my mind, it's like, bro, like I'm just having a conversation with myself in my head. But there's somebody there looking at you who can see you having this reaction to whatever they just did or they just said. So you're not talking to yourself anymore. Now you're talking to someone else non-verbally. You understand what I'm saying? And it happens all the time. My husband said something to me today, and I wasn't offended. I was just looking like, why talking to me like that? He took it as I was offended. And I had to explain, like, no, that's not why I'm looking like that. I was just wondering why you're talking to me like this. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that go on the inside of you that you have to learn how to deal with before you even think about being married to someone. Okay? Your attitude determines your turnout in life. Okay? And I know we hear this all the time, but I think we have to start accepting that yes, we've been through a lot as Black women. And I don't feel like a lot of us have to go back generations. I feel like a lot of us can just look at our own life from our own doing or from someone else's decision making. Yes, for the most part, most of us have been through some things that a lot of people would consider traumatic. Maybe not severely traumatic, but definitely strong enough to have an effect on our life and our thought process. Okay. But what we have to realize is the people in front of you now, unless this is true about them, and then I'm not talking to you, but the people in front of you now are not the people that caused your hurt. They're not the people that caused your trauma. Okay, I'm about to put myself out here with this. Mm. When I first got married, I was not totally present um during sex. It's not that I didn't love my husband, don't get me wrong. I loved him and I wanted to be with him. No, it wasn't that. My past experiences had brought me to a point where I disconnected during intercourse. I would not, looking back on it, I don't think it was something I purposely meant, but my sinful behavior, I'm gonna call it what it is. My sinful behavior and the sinful behavior of others led me to the point where this is kind of what I have to do to survive it. So I'm gonna disconnect. And I can remember exactly the first time it happened to me, and it was during an assault. I remember specifically like looking at myself from the outside. Okay. And and I've told y'all this before. Sometimes you don't understand you have issues until you confront this issue. Like I didn't know this was an issue for me because I had not been with a man that I wanted to totally be present with. Okay? And what I mean by that is, listen, when you having sex with a boyfriend or you just hooking up or whatever, you're not totally giving yourself to this man because in the back of your mind, you're thinking this isn't permanent. He's gonna leave. All your insecurities about this man and the fact that you're not married, you're not doing it right. All of this stuff is running through your head. So you cannot be totally present. Any woman with a conscience will tell you this. Listen, It might be some of y'all out there that's, I don't have that problem. Okay. Well, then I'm talking to those of us who don't mind being a little self-reflective. Ma'am, sis, cousin, even if you single now, okay, and you're fornicating, just think about it. Think about the last time you had sex. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm not the only one. Thank you. Just think about the last time you had sex. Maybe it's gonna be hard because you don't have anything personally to compare it to, because I don't know if someone could have explained this to me before I experienced it myself, okay? Married sex? Like when you happily married, it's like nothing else you've ever experienced before. It is a whole, totally mind and body encompassing experience, because you know why? Your mind is not preoccupied with, oh, I can't fall too in love. I can't let him get the best of me. I know he's going to get up and leave. And your mind is not going through all that. You're not in your head like, Lord, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm never going to do this again. You're not going through all that. Okay. When you are married, when you are happily married, listen, your mind is at ease. You are there. You are present. Okay. And let me tell you something, present married sex is better than anything you could ever do when you are single. Okay. And if y'all cannot testify to that yet, come back to me when you can. Saying this to say, you have got to like yourself enough to know that I don't want to throw away my potential future for some satisfaction right now. I'm worth waiting for. You know how the Bible says to leave a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. When you love yourself, you begin to understand how certain things work and certain things tend to operate. In order for a man to want to leave an inheritance, there has to be love there. There has to be commitment. There has to be intent, is what I'm going to say, intent. As women, okay, as their helpmeets, we fill in the puzzles pieces to that inheritance, because yes, the man provides financially. And let me say this, I know a lot of our grandparents. I know my grandmother, she didn't have much to leave us, but what she did leave us, and this is what they told us, what she did leave us was a legacy of Christ. She left us that. Okay, so all praise to the Most High for that, because yes, that is a very important inheritance. Okay. But like right under that, because you need it to live, is that financial inheritance, right? Um, and a lot of times these two things work hand in hand, which is why you, as the help meet, need to make sure that you are whole spiritually before you come talking to any man about trying to build anything, have his children, leave a legacy, build an empire. You know how y'all like to use these buzzwords. Before you talk about any of this, you need to make sure that you are complete and whole within yourself, ma'am, sis, cousin. You need to make sure that you have a concrete understanding of who you are, who you belong to, and what you will and will not do. Okay? Because the world is coming for your children. I don't know if y'all realize that or not. The world is coming for your children, okay? And a lot of these conversations that you're going to have with your kids are going to be hard to have, especially because they're your children and you love them and you just want to coddle them and you want the world to be absolutely pristine for them. Unfortunately, it's not like that. And also, unfortunately, because a lot of us don't bother to love ourselves, like ourselves before we become mothers, we try to conform to what our child, I want to say, is going through because they're a child. They don't even know who they are yet. And I'm saying this to the mothers who become friends to their teenagers. You cannot live vicariously through your child. Okay? And I'm not saying this with anything like that. But you can't live vicariously through your kid. The opportunities that you miss, the things that you didn't do, the school play, going to college, all the things that you constantly beat yourself up over and you're like, "Oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda." You cannot make your child do those things. Okay? And even if you do, you are not going to be personally fulfilled. Right? So here it comes. All right. You to have to love yourself enough. Love yourself. You have to love God enough to throw yourself before him and say, please fix me so that I can be who you need me to be to these people on this earth. All right. I can recall about a year in prayer, praying over my regrets, praying to not be plagued by the guilt of my regrets. A lot of us don't want to do this though, because we'll sit here and listen what I'm saying. I'm not going to sit here and say that my lifestyle is great for everybody. Everybody can't be a stay-at-home mom. Everybody can't homeschool. Everybody can't be a housewife. Everybody can't be the wife of an entrepreneur. Okay? And I'm not saying it to boast or brag, but this is just what I am and this is what everybody do this. So when I'm in conversations with other women and they're telling me about what's going on in their life, how useful is it if I'm sitting there and advising them to only because I feel like this is the best thing? That's not very useful at all, and it's downright stupid. I didn't tell my daughters not to go to college. By all means, I told them to go and know what you're going for. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Don't get all these loans. All praise to the Most High. Both of my girls that are in college, no loans. Scholarships and grants, no loans. But for me to sit there and say, "Oh no, being a housewife is the only way to go. You need not do anything else with your life until you find," that is unwise and that is foolish. But a lot of us are not confident enough within ourselves to do a thing alone. You're not confident enough within yourself to be the only person in your family that observes the Sabbath. You're not confident enough within yourself to tell your family, "No, we're not doing Christmas and birthdays no more." You weren't confident enough within yourself to say, "No, I'm not celebrating Valentine's Day." You don't love God enough. Therefore, you can't like yourself enough. There's no escaping that. You see, because there's no way to know yourself if you're not talking to God. It's just like anything else, okay? Like this soundboard right here. I know y'all can't see it, but I have when my husband was hooking up the soundboard and setting everything up, he had to go to the instruction manual. He couldn't just sit. I mean, he could have, but that would have been inefficient. It would have taken a lot longer. You run a greater risk of breaking, destroying, tearing up things. So the smart thing to do is to go to the instruction manual, see what the creator of the product intended for you to do with it, how he intended for you to use it. Same thing with your body, with yourself. Ma'am, sis, cousin, you go to the instruction booklet from the creator of the product. How did he intend for me to use this? And here's another thing. And I'm gonna say that to my sisters who maybe didn't grow up in church, I hate that you preaching good. I got an offering for you later. Oh, okay, hold on. We got a Cash App. We do have a Cash App. I don't put it up a lot because that's not why I'm here. But please, if the Lord is moving you and you want to, you know what I'm saying, support the house of Mono, support the cause, $ the wife of Mono, you can Cash App that. Thank you and appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, you have to, you can't operate the product without the instructions from the creator. But so many times in life, we try to operate as fully functional, healthy adults without even consulting the instruction manual. And more than the instruction manual, you need a relationship with the creator himself because, honey, he's current, he's alive, he's moving. So there are instructions that need to come. The principles are written in the Bible, but every nuance is not, if you understand what I'm saying. The principle, your husband is the head and Christ is his head and the God is his head, that's in the Bible. But maybe okay, your husband asked you to make jerk instead of curry chicken. In your mind, you might be like, well, I'm still cooking, but he gonna get this curry. That's what I had out. Okay, but wisdom will say that man asked for jerk chicken, make that man some jerk chicken. And this is why you need that concurrent relationship with the creator. Okay, concurrent going at the same time. You have to be willing to do a lot of self-reflection and self-examination, especially if you're up in your older years, you know, like past your 20s, 20, I'm gonna say like 25, 30-ish. Okay. And I'm not gonna say that it's a one-time thing. I'm 42. I have these conversations often with myself. And most importantly with the Most High and with myself. If I'm not liking myself, if I'm not loving myself, what good am I to anybody around me? And this is what we don't understand. And I fear that a lot of us feel like collecting people is going to make us feel better about ourselves. Like we tend to feel like, well, if I had more people around me, then I wouldn't be depressed. Then I wouldn't be angry. But the fact of the matter is, the more people you have around you, the more depressed you get and the more angry you get because all you're doing now is you're just like combining issues on top of your own already. Okay. See, especially when you deal with the single mother thing, and especially those who do it on purpose, because there are those who do it on purpose. You get out here and you feel like, oh, I'm gonna have a kid, and it don't work like that. The kind of love that you think that you want is something that has to start from you. It's something that has to start with understanding who you are, understanding who God made you, and understanding as much as our human minds can how much He actually loves us. When you start to understand the laws and the commandments and really start to study and understand the purpose behind them, then you will understand how much the Most High really loves you. You just got to get into the Bible. You have to get into the Bible, so then you start to understand the differences that he even made for his people as a nation, as opposed to other peoples and other nations. Guess what? They can eat the swine, they can eat the dirty animals. When you find out why we're not supposed to eat shellfish and why we're not supposed to eat pork, that should give you a inkling of, oh no, God really loved me. Go back to the Exodus story. The intent to save us from Egypt, destroy our enemies along the way, and take us to a land flowing with milk and honey where if that's not love, I don't know what is. Okay, but what we can't do is let the current condition, which is a result of our sin and the sin of our ancestors, we can't let that cloud our judgment in regards to how the Most High feels about us, how the Most High feels toward us. Listen, I'm not feeding a victim mentality here, okay? And a lot of people will say that, oh, it's a victim mentality when you start to think like this. No. Listen, addition of a lot of my sisters and cousins is not their fault. It's not their fault. Okay. We're still recovering from the crack era. That wasn't too long. I have friends whose parents weren't available for them. They had to live with their grandparents. Okay, but these people who were affected by that are now adults raising children. Okay, so we're not that far removed from these effects, and let's act like we don't still have crackheads in the hood or wherever, because it's not just in the hood. And not just that. And not just that. My confidence in myself did not come until I started studying the laws of the Most High. I'm telling you. Okay, and it's not just a crack thing that I'm saying, just the sinful condition that we're in. No, it's not directly our fault in that we were born into what was I watching? Something with my kids. It was some babies and they was talking. What is the name of that movie? I forgot, but it's a movie with some babies and they're Boss Baby. Boss Baby. And one of the babies said to the other baby, it's not about you. You were born into a war that you didn't even know was happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, they saying that on a cartoon. But it's how much more for us as Black people. You're born, and if you grow up without any information, you are born and you start your life thinking that, oh, I'm just like everyone else. I just happen to have brown skin. The same opportunities as everyone else. I'm an American like everyone else. I can grow up and live happily ever after behind a white picket fence like everyone else, and everyone's going to treat me the same, and they're going to judge me on my character and my intelligence and not my skin color. And how long is it before in the life of a Black child that you learn that that is not true? I'm going to say you learn pretty quickly that it's not true. I had the pleasure of growing up on a military installation in Germany, okay? So I did not experience much racism until I came to Georgia and had somebody call me a nigga because her child was holding the door open for me and I was running to the door. Don't hold the door for that nigga. I was like, excuse me? Like, I'm a teenager. I'm a young teenager when this happened. I didn't do anything for this woman to assault me verbally. And that's what I'm saying. It's not about it being our fault. It's about the conditions that you come into. And are you ever given what you need to change your circumstances. And I'm here to tell you, that the main thing that you need is the knowledge of the Most High and his law, statutes, and commandments. That, I feel like there's no such thing as knowledge of self without that. How can you begin to understand the creation text of the Creator? It makes no sense. When I write my husband a letter, if the context of our love and our marriage is not already understood behind that letter, then the letter means nothing. It's like, what the hell are you even talking about? Okay, even when we get into disagreements or we have intense discussions, if the context of our love and our marriage is not behind that discussion, then this is just an all-out war, buddy. If the context of the Creator is not behind the creation, then what good are you? If not a creation of the Most High, what are you? You never told me that story. Let me help you feel tonight. Yes. Okay, if you are not in the context of a daughter of the Most High, a woman of God, then what the hell are you? What are you doing? We live in a society where they can't even define the word woman. So if that's all you're walking around labeling yourself as, then what are you? I hate to say it, but we have dogs, okay? We own a kennel. We have dogs. Our dogs have no knowledge of self, right? They're animals. They play, they eat, they poop, they bark, they whine, whatever. We feed them, we take them back outside, and that's it. The dog has no knowledge of anything higher, anything supreme. Let me say that, because the dog knows me. I'm a higher being to the dog, right? But as far as knowledge of me, as far as the dog understanding that I have an intent for its life, it doesn't understand that. All the dog knows is, okay, this person is here. They feed me. I see them every day. They let me outside. That's it. The dog doesn't process, oh, they have me here to make more puppies. You know what I mean? They have me here to play with them. They don't get that. And so, ma'am, sis, cousin, and I say this with all love, humility, and compassion, when you walk around without the context of a creator, you are out here behaving like a dog because there's no purpose behind your actions. When my dogs, we have puppies, like, what month is this? February. How old are they? Like 3 months now? I think it might be like 3 months old now. And even before that, they walk up to each other and lick each other's genitals. This is what dogs do. This is how they identify each other. They lick each other's genitals. And ma'am, sis, cousin, dare I say that a lot of you all carry yourselves like dogs. I was watching something on television the other day. I forgot what it was. A man and a woman in an elevator. Oh, it was Living Single. A man and a woman in an elevator. And they were having a conversation. And the woman's like, well, you look good. I look good. So let's get it on. What? That's all you require, because without the context of your creator and without the context of a purpose, sex is nothing but a good time for you. So without the context of a creator and the context of a purpose, your beauty has no purpose for you but to attract the next man or try to get the next meal or try to see how you can come up, without you understanding that God gave you the gift of beauty so that you could draw people in, so they can listen to what he has to say through you if you choose to let him. But y'all won't understand that, and you'll abuse your beauty, and you won't understand that it's a gift. And you'll tear yourself up, and you'll run the streets, and you'll drink yourself ragged to the point that people can't even recognize you anymore. No, literally. People licking each other's genital. Literally. You understand what I'm saying? If you're just out here living on the wave of whatever the world is doing. All right. Wherever the world is going, that's where you going. All right. So, hey, I don't even know what the theme is this year. I know y'all was striving for a hot girl summer last year. So whatever the theme is going to be this year, you're going to be that. But okay. I'm the kind of person that, like, once I find something I like, I wear it out, especially food. If I find a food that I like, oh, I want that food all the time until I don't. I may eat this for like a whole week, but once I'm tired of that food, I'm tired of it and I don't want to see it again. That's how y'all get in these waves and these trends, right? Because, okay, once we get past it, like, what all the food can offer me is taste. That's it. Like, for instance, guacamole. Okay. I love, sir. I love guacamole. Okay. It's one of my favorite foods. All that guacamole can offer me is a taste. That's what I'm not talking about. Let's just talk about the taste. Okay. Every time I eat it, I'm looking for that same taste. That's what I want. After I taste it a few times, though, I'm tired of it. Like, okay, is there anything else? Is there another flavor after this? No, I've experienced, okay, the sweet, the salty, I've experienced all that, the spicy. Okay, I'm done with this. I want something else. When you go and present your sex, because that's what you're doing when you're walking around naked, you're presenting your sex. You're saying, this is all I have to offer you: the breasts, the butt, the thighs. This is all I have to offer you. And again, and like I told y'all before, they'll sleep with you. They'll sleep with you in a heartbeat. In the back of a pickup truck at the Quick Trip, they'll sleep with you in the parking lot at the Waffle House, in the bathroom at the McDonald's. In the toy section at Walmart, they don't care. They'll sleep with you. But once they've experienced the breasts and the butt and the thighs, what else do you have to offer? What else? Okay, what else is there? And y'all don't develop anything else. You don't develop your mind. You can't carry on a decent conversation. Can you speak about current events intelligently? Do you even know where these sources of information? You don't necessarily need books to be able to carry on a decent conversation. Now, I will say that a lot of times in conversation with different groups of people, which I feel we should be able to conversate with different groups of people. I can conversate with my sisters and cousins, and also if I need to conversate with a non-sister or cousin, I can do that as well. How did I get there? Listen, you have to be willing to read. Like, you have to be willing to educate yourself. I take a lot of what I learned in school as a starting point. I love reading up on it, love to research it. That's just a starting point for me to try to figure out the truth. You understand what I'm saying? So listen, sometimes even when it comes to watching TV, watch a documentary, visit a museum. You don't even have to go. You can virtually visit museums now. Literally type in the name of a museum, and I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, there's a virtual tour that you can take with plenty of information. You know what I used to do when I used to sit at home? If something would catch my interest, I would Google it to the Wikipedia article and just follow the links. Just follow the links. So much information. It's just article after article, and just keep following the links down whatever interests you. And you would be surprised. Listen, and I'm saying this because the time of school and education has passed for a lot of us. I'm 42 right now. Don't see myself going back to college. Okay, I got like 1 year left. I just don't. It may. I don't know. I just don't see it happening right now. Okay, but I realized that I was blessed to be able to travel the world as I have. Educated on the things that I have been educated on to give me a broader world view. And also, it just allows you to be able to catch a lot of cultural references that people may use in conversations that you may not necessarily understand if you have not been a part of that part of society. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not a fan of American Lit, then me talking to you about The Great Gatsby or gosh, I'm trying to think. So many wonderful stories. Okay, there's no sense in me trying to talk to you about The Great Gatsby or The Glass Menagerie. You're not gonna get it. If I come to you and I say, Stella, Stella, if you don't know A Streetcar Named Desire, you're like, Stella, who the hell is Stella? You understand what I'm saying? You have to have something else to offer. And okay, fine. For some reason, you want to reject cultural things, cultural knowledge, I guess, of where we are right now. That's fine, but do you even have any biblical knowledge to offer? Can you help a brother with Bible study? Do you even know the books of the Bible? I mean, do you have anything to offer besides your breast and your butt and your thighs? Is what I'm saying. And unfortunately, you will just continue to go into a sex and loneliness until you decide to like yourself enough to invest in yourself, and then to wait on someone who is also invested in themselves and is willing to invest in you. But we and it's like an addict. You won't take a time to catch your breath and give yourself a break. You just keep running back to the drug, hoping that it's gonna numb your hurt. And I'm here to tell you, ma'am, sis, cousin, unlawful penis is going to help you. If anything, it's only going to damage you. No amount of money is going to heal you. Money only to be more of who you want to be. It does not help anything. No car is going to make you feel better. No bag is going to make you feel better. None of that. None of these trappings of wealth. Listen, you can go out here and rent the biggest mansion you want to, trying to compete with someone else. All you're going to do is end up hurt, broke, and in debt. Nothing is going to fill the void in your life like God can. And I'm not one of those women who's going to sit here and tell you that, oh, once you have King Jesus, you don't need a husband. No, I'm not going to say that because I can't personally attest to that. Okay. But what I do is that without that solid relationship with Christ, you're in no condition to have a husband. You're in no condition to even be there. You're in no condition to be socializing because you are not grounded, you are not rooted, you are not established, you have not figured out your boundaries, you don't know anything. So when you put yourself out there like that, you're just like them free samples I was talking about last week. Free samples, no commitment. You ain't even got to buy it. You just walk up and eat it and be done with it. Without boundaries, without context, without purpose, you're a free sample. And you keep putting yourself out there and they will eat you up and spit you out. Stop following these old washed up hoes on TV. The likes of Giselle Bryant, the likes of Carly Red, the likes of Erica Mena, Nene Leakes. I'm gonna even say her, Sheree Whitfield. Like, look at all these women. They're single and lonely. Okay. Don't look at them feeling like, oh, they're living the life. They're living the life because here's the thing, right? Those women are still out there looking for a man. They're still out there looking for a man. And see, I don't like the double speak. And what I mean by the double speak is on the one hand is, oh, I don't need no man. I'm strong, independent. I don't need no man. But then on the other hand, every time I turn around, you getting dogged out or some brother playing you out. Do y'all remember when Tyrone got out of jail and he was supposed to come meet Sheree and he wound up still standing her up. She's sitting outside the freaking restaurant in Philly waiting for this man for hours. And this is a beautiful woman. Apparently a beautiful woman. But Mam's cousin, let me just say this, and I have no qualms about saying this. Listen here, if you in your 40s, okay, and you gonna wait for some man to get out of jail, who first of all ain't your husband, and then secondly, y'all wasn't even together when he went to jail. What does that say about you besides the fact that you have no self-esteem? Forget low, your self-esteem is at a -10. When you love yourself, you're going to choose the best that's available for yourself. Now, listen, let's be realistic, okay? The best available for yourself is not a rapper. It's not an athlete. It's not a basketball player. It's not your local neighborhood drug dealer. It's not the baller nearest you. No. It's what's best for you, and you will know it when it's time. But if you keep limiting what's best for you to popular opinion, you're never going to find what's good for you. Now, I will say this. I praise the Lord that my husband is attractive. Okay. I thank God on high that my husband is fine as okay. I'm very thankful for that. But Mam's cousin, listen, if you with that man or he's trying to get with you and he may not have it all together, there is nothing that you can't fix. Okay. And hear what I'm saying, fix. I don't mean fix as in trying to get him to look like someone else. I mean fix as in get him to the best version of him that's possible. I've known multiple women who've had great men who have literally given them the world, paid for them to go to college, paying rent, taking care of their children, buying them cars and everything else. And these women have the audacity, and I'm going to call it audacity, to throw these men away because maybe they were a little too fat. Maybe they were a little too frumpy. Maybe they didn't like this. Maybe they didn't like that. I had one woman tell me that she threw this whole good man away because of sex. She threw this man away. And now let me just say to you that these women that I know that made these mistakes are now, well, one's living with their mother. The other one is with a lesser nigga. Why? To take the time to take him to get him some new clothes because you ain't want to put the effort into pushing. See, y'all will have a 95% good nigga. He paying bills. He taking care of your kids. The kid that ain't even his. He giving you his credit card. You got access to everything. He loves you. He's totally and wholly giving himself to you. But because he don't care enough to keep new J's on his feet, when Mam's his cousin, he make enough money, so all you got to do is go buy them. And if you tell him to wear them, he will. Like, there are ways to get things done. But you don't love yourself enough. So you can't see the potential in nobody else. And I'm not sitting here talking like I'm perfect. No, not at all. I work on myself every day. Well, 3 to 4 times a week. Every day when my muscles can tolerate it, but usually 3 to 4 times a week. No, I didn't say the 1% because he cheated. No, that's wait a minute. Hold on. Where? Oh, you better be like, I can't find the buzzer. You need to be buzzed for that. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you gotta like yourself and be confident within yourself enough to go through some things, to go through that testing time, not just for a potential spouse, but for yourself. You think God just gonna bless you and not test you? You have to pass the driver's test to get your driver's license. You have to work to get a paycheck. Why do you feel like the Most High is just going to sit here and give you something for nothing? I mean, well, when you think about it, you breathing, ain't you? Your heart beating. That's something for nothing. How much more do you want? You know what I'm saying? Like, the principles of reaping and sowing still matter. Okay? The principle of working for what you want still matters. And even when it comes to people, listen, my husband, but that don't mean we don't have problems. That don't mean that we don't still work on each other. My husband think I'm fine. I still got stuff that I got to deal with. Listen, we've been married going on 9 years. And do you know that we still have conversations about my mouth, about me being loud and aggressive at times? 9 years later. And hear me. It's not something I do on purpose. I can't help it. I try very much to be demure and feminine around him as much as possible. But sometimes I don't succeed in that area. And that's okay. It's okay because I love myself enough to know that my husband has my best interest at heart. And you might be like, well, what does that have to do with loving yourself? Because I love myself. So I can't really fathom somebody like being around me like that don't like me too. Like, what's wrong with you? That don't make no sense. You know, and I appreciate being able to be myself. And here what I'm not saying that I'm the same person I was when I met my husband. Not at all. 9 years ago, it's a very different me. Okay? But I loved her 9 years ago enough to not only do the work myself, but to accept my husband's work, knowing that he wants the best for me. I said something one time. There was a discussion about, this lady was like, if my husband tell me to shut up, then I'ma shut up. And I said, facts. If my husband tell me to shut up, I'm shutting up, because I understand the only time my husband gonna tell me to shut up is if something's going on, because I know he has my best interest at heart. In fact, one time we were outside and I was in a conversation. My husband threw me and the conversation was over. All right, come on, time to go. Ain't nothing else to discuss. I love myself enough to not give two hells about what nobody else thinks. But also I'm wise enough to know that as a woman who respects my husband, that's another type of respect right there. Like, people are going to look at you differently. But you don't love yourself. You got to love yourself enough to not care about what nobody outside your circle thinks. And I've said this before, when you're married, a lot of marriage is standing alone together. It's a lot of, well, this is what my husband wants to do, so this is what we're doing. And even sometimes my husband has to, well, this is what my wife wants, so this, to the chagrin of both sides of our families at time. We both have kind of stopped talking because of issues. I mean, only temporarily, but because of issues in our marriage. But this is who I am married to. This is me. I am him. He is me. You want to add on to a structure that's not solid. It's like building the house on sand as opposed to concrete. If you are not established within yourself, anything you try to add on to you is going to fall. And I said this before, men can smell your desperation, your unsureness, your insecurity. Those who are looking to victimize can smell it from a mile away. They see you coming before you even leave your house. You reek of desperation. Your aura constantly says, won't somebody just love me? And that's sad. You've got to love yourself enough to know that if no one else ever loves me, the problem's not with me. It's not. The only change you need to make is the change toward keeping the law and commandments of the Most High and living the way that God has told you to live. Those are the only changes you should be worried about making. But we become so convinced that if we change everything on the outside, it's going to change everything on the inside. We go out here, we shop ourselves into debt. We go to this coach and this meeting and that meeting and this group and that group, looking for something to fulfill us, looking for that thing on the outside that's going to change our inside. But the fact of the matter is, we can only permanently improve our outside by changing our inside. Okay? Permanently improve. Because hear me, you can change your outside in a blink of an eye. I can go and turn my hair purple if I want. Heck, I could even go and make my skin darker or lighter if I want. I can do anything to my outside. That does not mean that it is a permanent and positive outside change. Okay? But guess what? When I'm cool with myself on the inside, anything that I do now on the outside is out of love for myself. It's not out of trying to correct a thing or attract people. A lot of and people say this a lot of time, when a woman is going through something, the first thing she goes to change is her hair, because your hair is what you can control. Okay. There's a difference between me wanting to enhance, like if I just wanted to throw a couple little highlights in here, something like that. There's a difference between that and me going out here totally changing everything about myself in hopes that it attracts people to me, in hopes that it causes me to give off a different aura, I guess, for lack of a better word. And this is, this is the problem with plastic surgery. And I don't mean to keep going here, but this is what we do, right? We go to change, hoping to change our inside. We go and get the breast implants, hoping it'll make us feel better about ourselves. We go and get the BBL, hoping that it'll make us feel beautiful. I don't understand how that makes you feel beautiful when it's not you. Um, and I've been guilty of wearing weaves and stuff before, and I'm not knocking that at all. By all means, ma'am, sis, cousin, you need to throw a couple of tracks in there, please do. But when it gets to the point where you're ashamed of your own hair, when you won't let anyone see you without makeup, when you won't let anyone see you without your hair done, then you have to start asking yourself, like, what am I lacking that I don't feel like I'm good enough for myself? That confidence that you're looking for, nobody else can give that to you. If I was not confident in, first of all, in the Most High, okay? If I was not confident in the Most High and His purpose for me, His calling on my life, His instructing me, if I wasn't confident in that, there's nothing my husband could say to get up here and have me talking to y'all like this. Nothing. He's not my creator. He did not determine my makeup from the foundation of the world. He was not there before I was formed in my mother's womb. He did not plan out my life and my destiny. Only God did. So if I was not confident in what God had put before me, I wouldn't be here in front of y'all. Nobody could tell me anything. You can't come to me and tell me God told me something if God didn't tell it to me first. I don't care what you say. And see, that's another problem where we get lost, especially in the church or when you're coming into the truth. We allow people to speak as the voice of God to us when that shouldn't even, nobody should be coming to you telling you God says something and you had not heard it first. If someone is coming to you and saying something, it should be a confirmation. Okay? Ladies, even when it comes to these men, y'all dating, y'all are courting. If he's not passing the vibe check, I don't care how much he say it's in the Bible. Listen, there is theoretical knowledge and practical application. We can all read a verse in the Bible, but agree that it's to be carried out in a few different ways. And that's okay. This is why we don't judge each other on Sabbaths, on meat, on things like that. Okay? That's okay. But when you are, and this is what you got to understand, right? Like when you're choosing somebody to spend the rest of your life with, The way they choose to practically apply is going to determine the rest of your life. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier when we use the nuances and the discrepancies in modesty to attack one another and to separate and isolate ourselves. What your husband considers modest may not be what my husband considers modest. Okay? What my husband consider, you know what I'm saying? Even personally amongst yourselves, for those of you who are still single, what you and I personally feel like modesty is different from married women and single women. Of course, single women, if you looking for a husband, I expect you to be looking a certain level of presentable at all times. Yeah. Do you want a husband or not? See, we start listening to people and they'll tell us, well, getting married isn't the goal. It might not be for you. That's fine if getting married is not your goal, but it is it was mine and it is other people's goal. And so you should pursue that like you would pursue any other goal. Okay? So now if you're single, I expect you to look a certain level of presentable at all times. But as a married woman, I don't try to necessarily make myself attractive. I'm gonna say that. If I'm running the Kroger, I'm not doing all this. If you're gonna see them little bantu knots in my head, I might have on some lip gloss. Okay. If it's a fancy day, you might see me in some mascara. But I'm not doing all this to go to I'm not doing all this if I'm not out with my husband. I don't care to attract anyone else. I don't need nobody else looking at me. No, I don't know. Not at all. So, in in conclusion, in conclusion, we have to first of all, we have to love God, period. You cannot love yourself without loving God. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what nobody say. You cannot. You first of all, you can't know yourself to love yourself. And you cannot truly wholly love a thing that you don't know. It's lust if you don't know it, okay? You can't know yourself without loving God, having a relationship with God. You can't even begin to like yourself without that understanding from the Most High. Sometimes you might have to ask him, why did you make me this way? Why am I like this? And have the conversation. Have the conversation. Y'all refusing to speak to the Most High, it's like just hopping on a cruise boat. You don't know where you going. You don't know when it's going to stop. You don't know when you're going to eat. You don't know nothing. Y'all just on a cruise boat cruising. That's not wise, nor is it productive. Get in touch with the Most High. Listen, y'all see what's going on, okay? Judgment is coming upon this place. You got UFOs, objects hovering. You got train derailments releasing poisonous chemicals, food supplies being destroyed, people dropping dead left and right. Everything more seriously when it comes to God, our spirituality, and getting our house in order. Like I said earlier, we have to live like he's coming back tomorrow, but prepare like we have no idea when he's coming. We see the signs, but we don't know exactly when. It's like we hear the train whistle in the distance. You hear the choo choo choo. You still waiting for the bad example train, but I'm just thinking of something that makes a noise in the distance. Okay. So you hear the train whistle, you hear the choo choo choo, but you don't see the train yet. Okay. You don't stand on the tracks when you hear the choo choo choo, you clear the tracks, right? They tell you when you hear the whistles, move because the train is coming fast. You hear the whistles, the unidentified flying objects, the balloons, the American Navy just had to stop 2 Russian warships off the coast of Alaska earlier this week. These are the train whistles. These are the choo choo choos in the background that we need to start paying attention to. So, ma'am, sis, cousin, please get right with the Most High first and foremost before you start thinking about a husband, boyfriend, kids, courting. any of that. Your mind needs to be on getting right with the Most High. My married sisters and cousins only got 30 seconds left. I'm going to make this quick. Get back right with the Most High. If you're not, please do. If you're in a backslidden state and you need to repent, I'm urging you, please repent. Turn away from your sins. Don't just ask for forgiveness and sit there and wallow in it. Turn away from your sins. If you want to reach out to me, I don't mind talking to y'all, praying with y'all, whatever you need to do. I'm at the Wife of Mono. Please feel free to slide me a DM or whatever. If you are a brother and you are looking for someone to talk to, this is my husband's at. He's on your social media platforms. Sometimes he pop in, sometimes he don't. He's working right now, so he can't. Okay, I'm going over my time. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. I'll see you on the socials. Shalom. I love you. Good night.
3